Hey everyone, this is Turambar, and today I'll review the account of one of our guild members, Enix. They are currently at rank 125 and they are a light spender, mostly for daily purchase bonuses. So I'll go over your lightning cast in detail and then I'll give some general thoughts about your account. All my opinions here are about maximizing your resources to build a competitive PvP account as soon as possible. In WOTV, you cannot have everything unless you spend a lot of money, and that's why I suggest everyone that's starting their account to focus their resources in only one or two elements, but ideally just one. So now let's get started. So I chose Lightning to review in detail as it is your best PvP element without a doubt. Resnick, Charlotte, and Esther, a top-tier team and able to compete at the highest PvP levels. Looking at what you currently have, I suggest you to max Esther during the next Global Fest. She will gain stats and a barrier break with her job level 25 skill. Also, build a Gaian VC as fast as you can. You can use stars, up to 300 of them, and clear the hard quests daily. Buy also any shards that may pop up in regular and Whimsy shops. This VC with the HP and slash attack is really good for lightning comms, especially on Charlotte. The same goes for Coral, the MR VC. This is an outstanding card for lightning with agility for the unit, also lightning attack up for the team and acquire AP up for the team. You can also get their shards much more quickly than for UR VCs. In terms of Esper, max Fenrir and give a resonance with Esther. It is your best option right now due to stats, slash attack, and magic resistance nodes. For our girl Charlotte here, you can do Phoenix or a Gaian, and really she's gonna perform well in two different aspects. So Phoenix will give her 15 defense. You can also give her strike resistance or water resistance in addition to some critical evasion. A Gaian, on the other hand, is more offensive and you can still build up some magic resistance and peer resistance in addition to slash attack and lightning attack. For Resnick, you can just go Bahamut and use that speed and magic stats in addition to magic nodes and resistances, which are really good for her. Now for the other lightning units that you have in your account, I really wouldn't spend any resources on them other than in low cost options for limited cost content. The Arctic, for example, is a good cost 30 unit and has range, has accuracy, and some neat stat effects too. So she can really be a good option for our limited cost and guild battle that we're going to have soon. Ravis is also a great AMR tank, but at cost 60, she is kind of restrictive and might not be possibly to run on some of these limited cost content. So now let's see an example of a PvP team that I put together for your account. Alright, so I've built a PvP team for your account using things that you currently have available. Note that for the Trust Stones sub-skills, so for the left side, the defense side, you will always want HP unlock. And other skills like Elemental and Attack type default resistance, Agility debuff resistance, and Elemental resistances are also good choices, but it will really depend on what you have available. For the right side, on the offensive side, you will start with Attack and Magic 20% up. Those are the most important. Then Accuracy, Reaction Block, and for your team in particular, I will always suggest Heal Power Up as you're running Resnick, and the Heal Power Up stacks between healer and target. Note also that the Trust Stone subskills do not stack with the same subskill in your equipment. So for example, if you have the 20% magic subskill rune in your TMR, and you also equip the Galmia code, which has a 30% magic upskill, you will only gain 30% magic, and the 20% magic from the Trust Stone is completely lost. Okay, so having said that, let's jump into Resnick. So here, for her, I'm building Bahamut. The speed, like I mentioned before, it's really important for her, and the magic stack is great for heals. So for her main VC, you have built the Black Rose Helena VC. This is really good for agility. Agility is really important in PvP, as you really do not want to get lapped. The sub VC is Ramu. It's not completely built in your account, but the magic stat will really help Resnick's heals. For her equipment, I have the Platinum Rod, the Galmia Coat, or you may just have it if you have the 20% magic on your TMR, and the Black Rose Helena TMR with the defense and agility rolls. Now, in terms of the skills that you want to turn on or off for auto PvP, so for the main job, everything is on except Cure and Dream Inducer. You can also play around with her defense and spirit group buff as well, and you might want to turn it off in certain situations. For her sub-job thief, and use only Steel Heart on. The charm won't come all the time, but when it comes, it'll probably win you the game. In terms of support skills, I'm going with Metaphysical Intuition and Thief Lore. Now for Charlotte, I'm going with a Gaian here for a more offensive-oriented Charlotte, to support the damage from your Esther a little bit. And then in terms of the VC, I'm using Leona's Castle. This VC is really easy to build because the sharks come all the time, and it will give your unit 15 defense and 15 spirit. This is a great cheap option for accounts that are just starting up and do not have a lot of VCs. For the sub VC, I'm using a Gaian. Of course, this one will jump to your main VC slot once it's fully built and replace Leona's Castle, but that's further down the line for you. Now, in terms of equipment, I've used Titus Necklace, which I believe you may have finished during the recent event that we had. I'm also going with Jack Frost Doll, which is a great defensive accessory, and her own TMR with defense and accuracy runes. So far, I've suggested the defense set bonus for both of your units, and I'm doing this mostly because of the heal power up, but also the defense that they provide are very good in a mostly physical meta. Now, in terms of Charlotte's skills on and off, for her main job, you really only want 3 skills on. So you want a Track Wall, which is her hate buff, the Glorious Armor, which is her Protect and Shell buff, and then Lightning Strike, which is the lightning resistance down skill. Now, why is this? It's because you really need Charlotte, and this is very important, for her to cast her 2 buffs every single fight. You want her hate up, and you want her Protect and Shell buff. Without those 2 buffs, she's really not going to be a good tank for you. With those 2 buffs, plus Resnick in the team, buffing her, especially with the barrier, she's going to be incredible, she's going to be awesome, she's going to be one of the best tanks in the game. For her sub-job, you want Thief, in my opinion. You can also go with the Pugilist Pugilist sub-job, but Thief provides sneak attack, so sneak attack is not going to come all the time. It's going to be the only skill that you are going to use, but if you're fighting evasion and Charlotte is in front of their Elena or Locke, she will go all the way around using her 4 movement and perform sneak attack, which is a guaranteed hit with a huge mod that would usually just one-shot them. It doesn't come all the time, just like the Steel Heart doesn't come up all the time with Resnick, but when it comes, it will win you the fight. Her Limit Break, you want it on, and I said that I didn't really want any of the other long-range skills on because of her 2 buffs, but the good thing about the Limit Break is that the AP cost is high enough that she cannot really cast it usually after her first buff. If because of all the acquired AP up that you might have in a Lightning Cup, it results that you actually can cast it after her first hate up buff, then you probably want to turn it off. Now, her support skills are going to be Thief Lore and Noble Heart. For Esther, your carry DPS here, the Esper is going to be Fenrir. The main VC is going to be her own, the Dreamers of X, and then for her sub VC, I'm going with Coral. For her equipment, her own sword is the best that she can get. For armor, I'm going with a barrier smart code. You can go with a +6 one. There's different options that you can have here. If you're fighting evade, for example, you're gonna really need an accuracy accessory probably on this slot, like the Oron sunglasses or the Alexandrite ring whenever you get that. Now in terms of the TMR, I'm going with Bells. She's AP hungry. You're gonna want her to cast Bells, and I'm going with luck and accuracy runes just to hedge for some evasion, especially on dark teams which are not full evade, but they have enough evasion to, you know, make things difficult sometimes. For her auto skills on and off, for her main job, just everything on, and then paladin sub job with courage in Born to Spirit on. So yeah, this is my build, and we will then look into the future of your lightning account. Alright, so looking into the future, save for Lightning, the unit and her VC, which are gonna come during the FF13 event in a couple months. Also, farm at least of her unique sword, at least 2 copies I would say. One for her, one for Charlotte, which might be really good as a replacement for a coral sword, for example. Lightning seems to be a great unit. She is kind of like Cloud with short and long range attacks, but she's a modern unit and includes follow-up attacks like Noctis or Astrius Limit Break, which is great against Courage and Re-Raise, which are 2 of the most OP mechanics in the game. For Ibarra here, our girl, the Demoness, so Ibarra's VC is one of the top 3 VCs for Lightning. Pull for it. Even if you don't have Ibarra, that VC on Resnick would be great. It gives you AoE resistance, which is one of the most important things to have in the game because really there is no penetration to it. And in terms of the unit, Ibarra is also great. It will give you options, so if you can't save enough Vis to pull for it in the next Global Fest or maybe the one after that, just consider it because she is just that great. Only do it if the value of the banner though is okay. If they pull something like they did with the last War of the Crystals banners, just, you know, skip it. It's not worth it. Cloud, our boy Cloud here, whenever FF7 comes back or if they have a good Final Fantasy collaboration banner, just, you know, Cloud is awesome even to this day. One of the best units in the game, and especially her Scorpion Sentinel VC is key for physical Lightning teams. You don't have it right now, that's actually gonna hurt you, but if it comes back, go ahead and pull it, especially if you can just, you know, spend 10,000 Vs on it and guarantee the card. The Thunder God Orlando here. Orlando, he's an okay unit. You don't have him already, so pulling him right after Lightning, it's just gonna be very, very hard on your Vis stash. So right now, I would say skip him. He is good, his EX will make him good, but his general kit other than that is just not modern, not up to, you know, modern unit standards. And Esther, I think she's just better than him in pretty much every aspect. So unless you really like him as a unit from, you know, nostalgia reasons, just, you know, skip him. Also build all of your VCs as you pull them. You know, you already have a few of these. You have Agayan, you have Ramu, you have Coral. If you pull Salir versus Rachel's VC, which is a regular pull VC, go ahead and build it as fast as you can. The agility on it, it will make your team really, really fast, especially if you have Black Rose Helena on the sub slot. So go ahead and build that. And like I mentioned, Wish Upon a Demon, Ibarra's BC is really key for the element overall. In terms of equipment, you know what you need to do. You need to go on farm +5 +6 equipment. The Coral Sword is a sword that you don't have right now. Charlotte doesn't really need a sword to, do her job as a tank, but like I mentioned, Giving her a little bit of damage will help your team overall, because Esther, even though she can perfectly carry by herself, she will have a hard time just cutting down through bulkier teams without a second unit who can, perform a little bit of damage. And one of Resnick's only weaknesses is that she really should not have any damage at all on her build. So yeah, Coral Sword for Charlotte will help with that. Also, you can farm from the Far Plane archives. You can just farm golden armor, which is good for Charlotte right now, until you get like brigandines and knight armors from raids, or clothes for Esther, like the smart coat that I was mentioning before. Alright, so this was the last of the lightning element deep dive that I had. So we're now gonna hop on some general thoughts about the rest of your account and some, final suggestions. So finally, we've reached the last slide here, and just 4 bullet points that I wanted to go through with you. First of all, for now, do not invest in any other element. Focus your resources, even dark and light, just pass on them right now. Your dark core of Joker and Black Rose Helena is strong, is really strong, but you really lack VCs and a good third option to make him a competitive PvP team. I suggest really not investing in the element heavily until you pull either the Little Lila the Bold or Dark Fina. The same really goes for light. You have Violet and you have Lucio build, and that's good, but you're missing that Elena or Locke, who is stuck at level 89. Your VCs also aren't really gonna cut it on high level PvP. You can build these elements in the future as you finish to solidify your lightning account after Final Fantasy 13 probably, especially if you get Little Lila the Bold, Dark Fina, and or Elena. But VCs will be key for you to make that jump. So now, in terms of your non-lightning powerhouse units that you have already built or you're on your way to build, use them in rainbow comps. You have Astrus at 120, you have Oberon at 115, and Doom at 102. These 3 units are top tier, but are basically alone in their respective elements right now in your account. So they can all be effective in a rainbow comp. You'll just have to analyze when is best to switch one in if the meta, for example, shifts heavily towards Earth, making your lightning main more difficult to run. Doom would be a great substitute for Charlotte if that's the case, for example. Now, in terms of prioritizing vision cards, so I've said this before, VCs have a longer shelf life than units. That's just true. The fact that we use 6 instead of 3 in each of our PvP comps also cannot be understated. Finally, if you really skip a VC on release, it's just so much harder to get and max off banner. We don't have a bingo board to rely on. So do not skip lightning VCs and seriously consider pulling dark and light VCs as they release, because you're thinking about going into those elements, and that will help future-proof your account. Finally, farm trust stones. I know it's not great, but there is a huge gap between teams with built DMR runes and those without. Rune farming has become really important, and you should be farming the letters during their double drop days. Just don't skip it. Alright, that's it. So let me know if this was helpful or not, and hit me up on Discord with any questions or comments about the video. Thanks for sharing your account with me, and just, good luck.